our discussion about the IGA was wrapped up. We agreed to table the school discussion for the future when we're not in such unique circumstances. And then we had more discussion on the attendance policy. And so Jeanette had typed that up, and then I reviewed it and provided some feedback. And I think, as always, the discussion to translation and writing leaves some gaps that probably need to be clarified. I think when we talk, we know what our intentions are, but I think we have to be a little bit more explicit in writing so that people who weren't part of our discussions understand what our intentions are. So I think if we can go through that today, then we'll be in a pretty good spot to provide CDA with our requested changes to the IGA and get them going on a draft for our review. Jeanette, can you share that Word document?
I will do that right now.
I'm seeing the meeting appointment.
Bear with me. Are you seeing it now? Yeah.
Yeah. You just need to double click on one of those files and then toggle over to that. There we go.
Got it.
There it is. So, starting with the kind of first line, we say that if a member misses 3 consecutive meetings, they will receive a written notification from the ONCC chair. And I guess my question was, are they just getting a notice, or are we intending to also suspend these members for a year? And so wanted to see what the committee's thought.
Well, I don't think that you should, I think we need to have some sort of due process, right? Where they're at least aware that this is coming. So I don't care if that, how 3 meetings, 4 meetings, whatever that is, but there needs to be some sort of notification that if you miss another meeting, you're off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's normally what happens is when they've missed 3 consecutive meetings, a notice goes out. But as I mentioned before in a previous meeting, what happens is then someone will come to the following meeting, and then that'll, you know, be one time and then kind of miss the next couple of meetings, and then we're only at 8 meetings or 7. So then there goes the year.
Okay, so at this point, let's just to be clear, if a member misses 3 consecutive meetings, they'll receive a letter that says they're at risk of being suspended from the ONCC for a period of 1 year if they don't attend the majority of the ONCC meetings for the year. Is that?
Yeah,
Yes.
why not after 3 consecutive meetings, they will be suspended for 1 year. And then after that, you can say that you will be given notice that, of your suspension after you missed the 2nd meeting. That's all. And they get their due process, they get their ability to know that what's coming, and after the 3rd meeting, they're gone.
So the first sentence then, do you want to add, if a member misses 3 consecutive meetings, they will receive a written notification from the ONCC chair of suspension?
Yes.
Yes.
I concur.
And to be clear, does that mean that all voting privileges are not in effect during the suspension? Or it just means you can't come to the public meeting?
No, it means they can come to the public meeting and he can even sit in a chair. They
Correct.
just can't vote.
That
Yeah.
takes them out of, Joe, wouldn't that take that person out of the quorum call then too?
Yes.
In other words, if we had, let's call it, if we had 65 members and one gets suspended because they didn't attend the meetings, your quorum is now based on a number of 64. Am I correct?
Right. Right. Eligible
Yeah,
voting
so
members.
Jeanette, I think that's going to be important to just explain what suspension means. Like, I
Yes,
think the sentence
third,
you have is there.
It is. It is.
It is. It says during the time of suspension, the member may continue to attend the meetings and participate in discussions, but will not count as part of the voting quorum and will not be eligible to vote.
So you're gonna suspend them, but they can come sit at the table with you, or do they have to sit in the audience?
Comments?
It says the member may continue to attend meetings. Where? At the table with you, or just in the audience as a member of the public?
I don't see why they can't still sit at the table. I mean, they're still a member. They're just been suspended.
I mean, let's keep in mind too, we're also talking about members who aren't attending. So, you know, what are the chances if you get suspended for poor attendance that you're actually going to start showing up? And I guess it's at the pleasure of the chair if, I mean, we're suspending their voting privileges, not their membership.
Right.
So I would agree. I think they can sit at the table, but I think that they don't get a vote. And I think we'll have to be very explicit with them about that.
I think if a member is suspended, they will be inclined not to show up.
I think so too. And I think it should be at the pleasure of the chair of the committee or the ONCC should decide whether they sit at the table or not.
Sounds good.
Karen, one point of clarification. I think you are suspending their membership if they will not be counted towards quorum,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so then just put them in the audience then. They're off
They
the
will
table.
receive a notification of suspension from ONCC,
Or yeah, from the commission.
from,
However you want. We'll clean it up later. We just need to know your intent.
okay. Members are required to.
How about another suggestion, taking out the first sentence and incorporate it into the second paragraph? Members are required to attend the majority of the meetings in a calendar year. Once the member misses 3 consecutive meetings, and then blah, blah, blah. Just a thought.
So after calendar year, I'm fine with that.
So is that what you're asking, Brian?
I'm just throwing out the idea about maybe just eliminating the second or first sentence and incorporate it into the second sentence over there. If they miss the majority of, once the member misses 3 consecutive meetings, they will receive a written notification from the chair that they are suspended for a year. I'm just throwing out the idea, that's all.
I
1
think
year,
you could-
1 year period from the date of suspension. 'Cause if
Well,
they
so
get-
let's get to that in a minute, because, so Jeanette, I think if you say, with that first paragraph, if you say, members are required to attend the majority of regularly scheduled general meetings in a calendar year. Once the member misses 3 consecutive meetings or a majority of meetings in the calendar year,
Okay,
right?
Once the member misses 3 consecutive meetings,
Or a majority of meetings in the calendar year.
okay, I'm sorry, I'm not spelling right now.
Wait, is that for the whole commission or for their committee?
This is for the whole commission.
This is the commission, ONCC as a whole, not
Okay.
as,
We decided not to really, like, committee membership or leaving to the chair of that particular committee to.
Okay.
And then can you add, in a calendar year after the majority of meetings, just so that we're clear? Right, that sums both up in a single paragraph? You either,
yes.
okay. Okay, so then to Joe's point, we probably need to clarify that the suspension,
yeah, the third, suspension. A seat at the table, isn't that what we're saying? They're ultimately out of
Right. I just think you should clarify it's a suspension of membership and voting privileges.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not a member, it stands to reason you shouldn't be sitting at the table.
So should we add in that line that starts, suspension will involve the loss of membership and voting privileges for that 1 year period?
Yes.
Isn't that what the line below says, though? Just got to add the year.
I think we have to clarify that your membership is lost.
Okay.
Well, and I think that's an important nuance. I think what you are all trying to say is that your membership is still intact. I mean, it's your IGA is still in effect. It's just you're exercising the clause that a suspension is necessary.
Right.
Right. So I think loss of membership is a bit harsh.
Yes.
Because that
Yes.
implies you're either in or you're out, whereas you're intentionally writing this paragraph to have some middle ground.
So suspension involves the suspension of membership and voting privileges?
Essentially, yes, but we need to wordsmith that.
Well, isn't that what you pay the attorneys like $700 an hour for?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So Aaron, you want us to clarify though that it's not loss, it's suspension?
No, I think you're fine for today because I think today is about capturing the thought. We can clean that up later.
Okay.
Yeah, you bring up a good point though, Aaron. We do need to make it clear that the IGA is still in effect. Otherwise, I'll just be a nightmare.
Right, and I think that's the goal, is to say, you know,
Right.
suspension puts your membership in this, you know, middle ground.
Mm-hmm. It's not termination, it's suspension.
Correct.
Forbearance. I always like that one.
Someone's
Okay.
been spending too much time with attorneys. Fancy with
That's
his words.
That's from student loans.
Okay, so then we say for that 1 year period. So do we need to clarify that it's a 1 year period
From the date of suspension.
from the date of the suspension?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then, during the time of the suspension, the member may continue to attend meetings, and then we say, and participate in discussions. Do we need to clarify as a member of the audience?
Yeah, I would say as a member of the public.
All right, just to throw out stupid scenarios. So, for example, Joe, in your Fly Quiet committee, you allow members to speak at the beginning of the meeting. Would a suspended member be permitted to speak at the beginning of a Fly Quiet meeting?
No.
No,
Not as a member, but they could as a.
A member of the public.
they've lost their privileges as a member. They
Okay,
haven't lost their membership, but they lost their privileges.
got you.
Okay. Then I think my last question was for the last paragraph. What happens? So we say that you can submit a written request to be reinstated. And then the chair has the discretion with approval from the executive committee. But what happens if they don't request it? Does the IGA become null and void? Does the suspension go on for 12 months? Do we have an obligation to notify them that their suspension is?
I would say give them a 30-day grace period. Say the 1 year runs its course, and within 30 days, if a request is not received, then the IGA is terminated. Right, just essentially for lack of interest.
Right. Because I mean,
Sounds
they're going to take one of two courses, right? They're either going to get suspended and realize they need to start participating, or they're going to get suspended and not care. So that works for me.
Yeah.
Any concerns from anyone?
No.
No.
Okay.
is
And then
that something you guys
let's
wanted
read
to
that.
add to the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you need to write a clause that says, hey, if the 1 year goes by, you don't write us a letter and it goes 30 days, we're done.
So a grace period of 30 days.
Will be given to the member to submit the written request. Period.
For reinstatement.
Yeah. If no request is received by the 30th day, this agreement shall be terminated between the city and the member.
Okay. How's everyone feel about these changes?
Invigorated.
Makes me want to go outside and dance in the rain.
Yeah.
All right. Did anyone have anything else in regards to the attendance policy that they wanted to discuss?
I'm just bringing it out again. Calendar year. Should we go? Because technically, aren't we like on a fiscal year? Should we go by the fiscal year or the
No,
calendar?
it only makes sense if you do it by the date of the suspension. Otherwise, could be 6 months, it could be 3 months, depending upon.
Look,
when
I'm talking about when we're saying a calendar year, though. That's all I'm saying is if you're missing meetings in a calendar year, should we go by our fiscal year, which is roughly what, May 1st or June 1st, something like that?
I see.
No, the commission's fiscal year is the CDA's because we provide the funding. So our fiscal year is the calendar year.
Okay, that's fine then. That's fine. No problem.
Yeah. It's a good point though, because our annual meeting is in May or June or.
June. That was done because of the elections with some of the local mayors. So
Makes sense. Okay. Anything else on the attendance policy? Okay. Then I think the other IGA changes that we're going to be submitting to the CDA is to change participant to member. We're clarifying language regarding designees / alternates not serving for more than one member. Clarifying that unincorporated areas of Cook County and DuPage County represent all of the county. And last month, Dan requested that we notify the townships of that so we can make sure they're aware of that proposed language change. And then we want to specify the geographic boundaries of the O'Hare Commission area to within the TRACON boundary within Illinois, and then our attendance policy that we just discussed. Any other IGA changes that we want to make? This is your final call because we need to get this moving. All right. So Erin, are you comfortable with, we'll obviously send you this list and the attendance policy changes, but are you comfortable with everything that is on this list? Okay.
I am. This is a good list. This gives us plenty to do. We will have to do some wordsmithing over the next couple of months, but I think this is a good list.
Good. Okay, and I think we had finished all of our requested bylaw changes. So was there anything else that people wanted to discuss in regards to the IGA or bylaws? Final.
Karen, just one more thing before I need to jump off at 1:30. So when we, Jeanette and I will move this along in terms of getting these requested changes into the document itself and start circulating that with you to review. When we're done with that, let's say we dive in for 4 to 6 weeks, get the document as good as we can make it. What what would you like to do next? Are we supposed to take it and run, or do you want some kind of check-in with either this committee, see the final version, or exec, or the full commission?
I'd like it to come back to this committee just so that we can make sure that the language in the IGA gets to our intent. And then I think we can share it with the exec committee just so they're up to speed. But I think this committee, we put the work in, we know what our goals were with the language modifications. And I think we can just make sure that that's coming through.
Okay, sounds good.
Are you okay with that, Jeanette?
Yep.
New committees mean new input.
Right. Right. The reason why I ask is eventually the CDA needs to sign off that this is good to go, because if we put it in our city council queue, it needs to be pretty much done, right? And I just make sure that this committee in particular has an opportunity to, sign off on the final version.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point we are going to have to take it to exec and the full commission to make sure everybody is comfortable with that. I know, Jeanette, you just sent out the annual meeting.
I thought the intent was to present it to the membership in June as this is what the committee's been working on, and to vote on that. Is that not the case? Because, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, you're going to present this to the city council sometime during the summer, correct?
Yeah, I was thinking July or August, but we have deadlines for when we have to get stuff you have to submit it to the clerk or something to get it officially introduced into city council. And I can find out, whether we want a June, July, or August introduction. I can find out the submittal deadlines for each of those. We may need either, an exec committee meeting or a meeting with the officers or something where, hey, I'm getting ready to send this in the queue and there's no ONCC meeting between June and September. And if we wait until September, that's pretty tight, right? Because if you don't vote on it until September, then I got to get it in the September queue. That means it'll be on the October for approval when we're doing the budget hearings. And then it gets approved, and it makes it very tight for your timelines with your villages and your school boards. So I'd really like to get it introduced no later than August.
But it's not impossible to get it in September.
If we don't introduce it till September, it just means all 65 members, or less the wards, are going to have a compressed schedule for their adoption of it. Because again, once city council approves the template, then we're going to replicate it, and you and I are going to distribute 3 originals for every member of the ONCC to sign, and most of them take it to their school board or their village board.
So I would suggest, if this is on the June meeting agenda anyway, we can lay out our proposed changes. We know the structure of that, and just talk through that with the full commission, and then get initial feedback. Let's be honest, even if we presented a final version of the IGA, maybe 10% of our membership would actually review it in detail and understand what changes we made. So giving an overview is probably the more effective way to communicate the changes we're proposing to the membership anyway. And then I think that would give Aaron the sense of whether there's any concerns on the part of the full ONCC. Obviously, we'll discuss it at exec the week before the full commission. And then if necessary, once it's drafted, we could take it back, but with the understanding that we'd already had the kind of summary discussion in June. What does everyone think? Good? Bad?
Yeah. That's a fine plan. You're right. Nobody's going to read it. We just need to give an executive summary. And that's fine.
Well,
That's fine also.
Well, to be clear, even if they were to read this document right now, the city hasn't done any wordsmithing. Right. We can't do that in 2 weeks. There's too much going on.
Right. And so I'm suggesting that what we provide at the June meeting is an overview of the changes to both the bylaws,
Yeah,
and the IGA that are being put forth
yes.
to formalize in said document, not that the actual document would be ready to be reviewed. I'm just saying I don't want to wait until the document's ready.
Mhm.
You could just,
Right, I think that sounds good.
you could tell everybody that there could be changes in wording, but there will be no material changes to the concepts involved in these changes.
I can't guarantee that. I mean, I believe that to be true, but I can't guarantee that.
I mean, it might strike something that we've done. You don't know.
Council has to approve this too. I mean, generally they take the recommendation of aviation, but I'm not going to sign off on for 50 aldermen, right? One year I was in committee and I thought I was doing great, and they're like, "We want ward representatives," and we were like, "What?" So I don't want to make a promise to you that I can't keep.
So you got to tell them that we're submitting something to you that may not be approved by the city.
No, I think we could say that we worked together and we've provided this list,
Yes.
and that we're now presenting it to the ONCC for their review and consideration, and then we're going to submit it to CDA and their legal counsel for review and consideration, and then ultimately everybody has to approve it, right?
Right. So Joe, that's what in aviation committee, I would say that this work product is the result of several months worth of collaboration, with the ONCC governance committee and, counsel by the Chicago Department of Law. So, I mean, I can absolutely give it a strong endorsement and, make sure that Commissioner knows that this is the document we'd like approval for, right? I can't guarantee.
All right. Okay, I understand. Okay, that's good.
I'm just thinking back, Aaron, to when you went in front of the budget committee and just got shit kicked out of you.
It's part of my job, and it's a pleasure to be a public servant.
Oh, that was brutal, man. I still feel bad.
Yeah. All right, Jeanette, I'm going to let you guys go. I got to jump
Yep.
on another call.
Thanks,
Okay,
Aaron.
bye,
Okay.
Aaron.
Bye,
Bye,
Aaron.
Aaron. Thanks.
Okay, so given that we've wrapped up this discussion, Jeanette, can you and I work on those speaking points for the June?
Of course.
Thank you. And then we will hold off on scheduling our next committee meeting until we have something to review from CDA. So we'll keep that as TBD. And then comments from the audience. Dan, do you have anything for us today?
I think Ernie had his hand up.
Oh,
Let Ernie go first.
sorry. Bernie?
I lowered it. The question was answered. Sorry.
Okay, sorry, I didn't see your hand. All right, Dan, what have you got for us?
Not much that hasn't already been said. I think from my perspective, what I've learned in this process is the importance of persistence. So I will continue to persist for equivalent representation of unincorporated residents, at least until Evan is able to take us all under his wing. And there.
There's a way to incorporate. You guys
Show
can
us
do
the
it.
light. So thanks everyone for their time, and look forward to the next meeting.
Yeah, thanks for participating, Dan. Appreciate you being here. So, okay, I think Dan's our only member of the public today. Is that okay? So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a
Thank you
motion
all
to
for your work on this, by the way. Thank you. Evan, was that a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you guys very much. It's been a pleasure working on all of this with you.
Bye.
here.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.